Good morning, everybody. This is Jeff J. Brown, China Rising Radio Sinoland in Chiang Mai, Thailand, for another interesting and thought-provoking and truth-telling report on the COVID-19 outbreak, which is now spreading around the world. It is entitled, Almost 100% of all COVID-19 deaths around the world are ethnic Chinese. SARS was 96%. Why almost no whites, blacks, browns, reds, and other yellows? What does this tell us? You need to know the truth. Pictured above, it is not a coincidence. It is not a coincidence that over 98% of global COVID-19 deaths in all the countries are ethnic Chinese. According to the World Health Organization's, and that's abbreviated WHO, Situation Report, which is abbreviated SITREP, SITREP number 37, dated February 26, 2020, 98.4% of all COVID-19 deaths around the world are ethnic Chinese. And I've uploaded the file. The percentage is probably higher since statistics are reported by nationality, not ethnicity. Over 50 million ethnic Chinese live around the world. These numbers will change as time goes on, but the proportions likely not. I am going to quit relying on Western mainstream fear porn statistics since they grossly exaggerate the numbers compared to WHO for the same time period. BBC was earlier screaming that 6 English people had died, while WHO reports 0. Like all international organizations, WHO is subject to political pressure, which will be demonstrated below, but I'll take its numbers any day of the week over the British bullshit corporation. Your Anglo-land oligarchs want to scare the bejesus out of their brainwashed subjects, which I will also discuss further in this article. WHO says that on February 26, those countries with COVID-19 deaths are Iran 15, South Korea 12, Italy 11, the Diamond Princess cruise ship 3, the Philippines 1, Japan 1, for a grand ex-China total of only 44 deaths on planet Earth. This compares with China's total of 2,718. In terms of reported infections, China has 78,191, with 37 other countries on Earth reporting 2,918 cases. The death rate in China is 3.5%, and outside China only 1.5%. In fact, the only person who died in the Philippines was ethnic Chinese, which you will not read in the article posted here, but if you watch the accompanying video, he was from Wuhan. Western fear porn made huge headlines out of one person dying from COVID, but it turns out that she was and for Sri Lanka, Western fear porn made huge headlines out of one person dying from COVID-19, but it turns out that she was a Chinese tourist from Wuhan as well. It is almost impossible to know the ethnicity of those attacked or who died from COVID-19 because this information is almost never reported. One could even say suppressed. Yet it is as clear as the day. It is as clear as day that your genes determine whether you contract COVID-19 or die from it. It is the 800-pound epidemiological gorilla on the global stage that everybody avoids like the plague, pardon the pun. We can start with SARS, another very suspicious epidemic that broke out in southern China 2002-2003. It was hard as heck to find out the ethnicity of those who died, nowhere to be found outside China, but I learned on a Chinese website that 96% of all global deaths were ethnic Chinese. Yet in the final 2003 WHO SARS report, this extremely critical statistical data set was completely censored, and I've uploaded it here for you. This cannot be an accident. Under Section 2.2, called Risk Factors for SARS, They list healthcare workers, environmental contamination, increased age, male sex, and the presence of comorbidities, like cancer and high blood pressure and all that. Air travel. Heck, go ahead and throw in the kitchen sink. But the risk factor of being ethnic Chinese is censored. Section 2.3 is called Special Populations Requiring Investigation. It includes SARS in children and SARS in pregnancy are the only two that are mentioned. That's standard boilerplate yakety-yak. Have you ever seen a study on illnesses that does not mention children and pregnant women? Yet the fact that 96% of those who died of SARS being ethnic Chinese is not a special population requiring investigation? Talk about politics trumping scientific truth. If being Chinese is the overwhelming criterion for catching and dying from SARS, shouldn't that be noteworthy, especially if you're Chinese? And the same is proving to be the case for COVID-19, yet being ethnic Chinese is even more critical, as the percentage seems to even be higher. Conversely, not being Chinese is just as important for all other ethnic groups. The level of fear and loathing immediately plummets. As well, nobody wants to admit that unless you are old, the chances of dying of COVID are very small indeed. This chart from Chinese sources proves the point. And if you are Chinese, old and already sick, your chances go up more. And there's another chart. So, who is dying of COVID-19? Old people, Chinese or otherwise, and if you glean the ex-China global news, most are also reported to have been in poor health previously. Notice, or were already in poor health. Notice that no Chinese children have died from it. To sum up, if you're 60 years or older, you may get sick, and if you are old and already in poor health, you may have an increased chance of dying. But if you're younger, healthy, and even being Chinese, you have a 99% chance of surviving. Are you white, black, brown, red, or other yellow, younger and healthy? Then dying from COVID-19 drops to a statistical goose egg. Go take a walk in a crowded fresh market. You have more of a chance of dying from all the other non-Chinese killing flu viruses that wipe out and make ill millions of people around the world each year. They mutated naturally they mutated naturally to attack all humans regardless of skin color. In a very interesting research paper by C.L. Chen of Soochow University, and his team showed that ethnic differences do exist in epidemics. It is entitled Ethnic Differences and Susceptibilities to the H1N1 Flu in the African Journal of Biotechnology 2009. It reported that there have been cases where particular ethnic groups had very high mortality rates from influenza epidemics. However, they were small, isolated natives in the far northern Lapland of Scandinavia, Inuits above the Arctic Circle in Canada, or isolated American natives. Why did they have devastating mortality rates during the global Spanish, which actually it was not, which I reported on earlier? It was actually started in the United States. But anyway, Spanish flu epidemic in 1918, because they had never been exposed to livestock and poultry production, which over time infects and immunizes people from all kinds of critters. This cannot be said about the Chinese, who, along with Mesopotamia and India, developed extensive agriculture more than 5,000 years ago, nor with the maritime and Euro-Asian Silk Roads being human and animal superhighways in and out of China for 3,000 years, can we say the Chinese have not been exposed to just about every microbe that infects livestock and humans. Unlike SARS and COVID-19, naturally mutating viruses are not so DNA specific. For sure, bioengineered viruses can be created that target a specific ethnic group. And in the project for the New American Centuries report called Rebuilding America's Defenses Foreign Policy Initiative, the oligarchs were lusting for ethnic bioweapons, stating, they wrote, and advanced forms of biological warfare that can target, in quotation marks. Specific genotypes may transform biowarfare from the realm of terror to a politically useful tool. These are the people who are running NATO in the United States right now. The U.S.'s military biowar program, DARPA, is in the business to genocidally exterminate Western enemies with Frankenstein viruses and bacteria. It's what they do. It's their raison d'etre, and your taxes are paying for it. DARPA, if you're an American, of course. Of course, if you're in the Europe, they also have they're doing the same thing with their biolabs working with DARPA. DARPA is the one that has been creating mutant coronaviruses from bat sources for years. This can only lead to one conclusion. SARS and COVID-19 were developed in bioweapon laboratories. With these viruses targeting ethnic Chinese, one can safely assume that foreign elements who perceive China to be an enemy to be destroyed were the ones who developed it. Knowing the truth about the ethnic specificity of SARS and COVID-19 immediately destroys all the ludicrous suggestions in the West's big lie propaganda machine, the BLPM, that COVID-19 was created in Chinese labs. If China made a bioweapon, it would not target its own people. So for SARS and COVID-19, cui bono? Who benefits from all the economic destruction in China and the hysterical, racist, anti-Chinese propaganda consciously and subconsciously saturating the global media these days? I can only think of one source: Urangloland. Western countries have hundreds of bioweapons labs on every inhabited continent and have a long and sordid history of using germ warfare on their own people and enemies alike. The United States has even already attacked China with germ warfare during the Korean War. Harvard stole untold thousands of in-country ethnic Chinese DNA samples for 10 years, right up to SARS. And it is proven that Rochester University selected medical subjects who could only be 100% Chinese DNA with ample opportunity to collect samples. Thus, we have the modus operandi, a proven track record for Urangloland, as well as the means, hundreds of bioweapon labs across planet Earth. That leaves a motive. All you need to do is look at the headlines since 1949, when China became a communist socialist powerhouse, to see that the People's Republic has long been global capitalism's public enemy number one, to be destroyed any way possible. The China trilogy grippingly goes through this whole story every step of the way. In a court of law, proving the means, the modus operandi, and the motive is called a preponderance of evidence, and thousands of defendant people, governments, and corporations have been convicted in civil court under similar scenarios. My exposés on SARS and COVID-19 on CRRS are ample evidence to this case. Friends, fans, and followers of China Rising Radio Sinoland, the preponderance of evidence proves that Urangloland, especially the United States, is guilty of bioterrorism in attacking China with SARS and COVID-19. This is so painful for most people to accept, even for Chinese, that denial is the first line of defense. My wife is a case in point. After looking at the whole situation, she reluctantly accepts that Urangloland, or at least the U.S., most likely perpetrated this crime against humanity. Yet she is overwhelmed with powerful emotions to admit the truth. Her disappointment and disgust are palpable. It's hard. I know how hard it is. But if humanity ever hopes to survive into the 21st century, we all need to stare reality in the face and smite the demons destroying us and planet Earth. I'm sad to say, history, at least since the 15th century, amply demonstrates that the vast majority of our demons have Western DNA. This is Jeff J. Brown signing out. Again, I put tens and tens and tens and tens of hours making these productions. This one probably took me 10 or 12 hours. Please make a donation to Patreon above, which is my technology newsflash, or PayPal, and it's above and below here. via my email. Thank you. Bye-bye.